I am here with Doctor. I literally was.
I got a PhD when I wasn't paying attention, apparently.
Lift me from the
Hey guys, it's Amra, also known as That Nerd. I am here with Bad Noises for an interview. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Bad Noises. I'm a producer from originally Toronto, Canada, now Philly. I've been producing some bass and drum and bass dubstep for a couple years now. I'm trying to get my footing up here in Philly right now, but yeah.
Oh wow, you're right in like Subtronic's like hometown. How's that feel?
Yeah, I actually just saw Subtronics in February, I think. He was came to the Met and it crazy. I haven't been to many shows up here. I lived in Florida for the last like 6 or 7 years or something. So just moved back up here and seeing that was my first show at the Met. There's another venue up here called the Ave that's most of their shows. It's kind of smaller. So seeing it was a huge venue. So it was really crazy. His whole production team is insane.
Yeah, the Philly show was a day before the Boston show, and I went to the Boston show, and that show was insane, to say the
Oh,
least.
I'm sure. I had a couple friends go to the Boston show, so it's nuts. His everything about Subtronics is just crazy to me.
How did you get into EDM?
So I excuse me, I went to university down in Daytona, and one of my roommates was a DJ from I guess his time in high school. So he kind of played some EDM, so I kind of heard it a bit in the background. I mean, I listened to some like Skrillex, Dead Mouse back in middle school, but it wasn't like big into it. And then, funny enough, I went to Okeechobee, in Florida, specifically to go see Ski Mask, the Slump God, the rapper, and he couldn't make it because of travel. So they replaced his like slot with a Nitty Gritty back to back Blunts and Blondes, and it was insane. And then just kind of been listening to EDM's kind of been taken over my life since then. So I was like 2018 or something like that.
So was that like your first EDM festival, EDM show? Like, was that the first ever one?
So I went to a couple shows with my old roommates, but that was my first festival. My first show was Slander. I think I went to see Slander at a UCF frat house, which is funny. And then we left early to go see Quicks in Tampa that night, which was also kind of funny. But yeah, I went to I think 2 or 3 shows, and then Okeechobee was my first big festival. Really put me in the scene.
How was that experience?
Crazy, absolutely crazy. Okeechobee kind of spoiled me a bit because it's such a huge festival. It's such a great, amazing festival. And then the next festival I went to is a really small one called Hysteria, which is also really fun, but they had maybe 200-300 people. So going from a festival the size of Okeechobee to Hysteria was kind of shell shocking a little bit.
So how did you get into like making music?
So I've been DJing since like 2019. We used to run a small EDM event in Daytona, at a bar. And so I've been DJing for a while because of that. And then I just started making some edits and some mashups because it just kind of made the sets flow nicer. And then I really got into it and really wanted to play for, a bigger audience, play like actual shows. And realistically, the only way to do that is by putting out your own music. So I figured I'd try, and I was garbage for 2 years. Still, I am pretty garbage, but I'm like hot garbage now. But I was pretty bad for the first 2 years. Obviously, didn't release stuff, just was kind of messing around, kind of like how most producers are that I've noticed. At least it took like a year or two, just like not even two, just about a year, just kind of dabbling on and off, kind of forgot about it, kind of gave up. And then eventually something just kind of clicked where I was just like, this is incredible. I'm having a great time, and just been kind of doing it on and on since then. And, playing a couple more bigger live shows helps out. So just seeing the crowd react to everything really it's a great feeling.
That's amazing. So, speaking that you're hot trash, how did you come up with the name Bad Noises? Like, how did that come about?
It's kind of funny. So originally I was just I couldn't think of a name. I originally started with, I think it was Blizzed. It was a play on Blizzard because I was from Canada and snow, and it was an awful name. I couldn't think of anything. But my roommates just started calling me BD because we didn't really have a name, and I lived in Daytona Beach. There's a lot of B's and D's and different things we did. So Daytona Beach, I called myself Bad DJ as a joke, so BD. We had a group chat back in the day just called Bad Dogs, so BD. So they're just like, oh, we'll just call you BD. It fits. And then I went to make an Instagram account like 3 or 4 years ago, and BD was taken, DJ BD, BD official. So I was like, oh, BD noises. And then when I wrote it out, I was like, oh, that kind of looks like Bad Noises without the A. And I was just like, oh, that's so much cooler than just BD. So kind of a weird, funny coincidence kind of thing, because shout out Instagram, basically. That's how I figured it out.
What would you say is the biggest struggle when it comes to the music industry?
Um, Probably getting like your foot in the door at certain places. I managed to win a contest down in Florida to
Oh my
open for
God.
Kayvon, and that was a huge show. And after that, um I started getting hit up for other shows. I got asked to open for Lost Kings, and then there's a couple other shows that I got asked to play. Unfortunately, I moved from Florida to the Philly area like 2 weeks after I played the Kayvon show, so I had to turn all those shows down because I was in the moving. And coming up here, I don't have my name out there as much as I would like, or as much as I did down in Florida. I don't have as many connections, so kind of getting your foot in the door to start playing at some of these places, because it can be kind of closed down, kind of giving out slots to people they know, people they trust and have a relationship with already.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense, especially when it comes to like, if somebody has a festival or like a show going on, they're more likely to put their friends in the show rather than like, I don't want to call you a random name, don't think, but I'm just
No,
saying like someone that they might not really know personally. So I definitely can understand that struggle for sure. What would you say is the biggest reward though?
honestly, so like I said, I started playing just because I got into EDM. I enjoyed the feeling of DJing, and I got really into DJing. I liked playing on stage. Um, but once you start creating your own music and playing that for a crowd, seeing how people react to your own tracks, your own music, stuff you came up with, it's insane. Again, when I played that Kayvon show 2 years ago now, it's the first time I ever played one of my own tracks live, and just seeing people go crazy for it and dance and jump around. It's such a rewarding feeling knowing how much time you've put into a track and seeing that, hey, I'm not the only one that actually likes this.
I mean, it's like an artist that has a painting and the painting sells for like $1 million. Like that's like, wow, I made that. Like that just happened. Like
Exactly.
I definitely can.
Especially with the music thing too, because we're tweaking little things, trying to make it sound perfect. So as an artist, you hear it a million times over and over again, and eventually, sometime before you're done the track and before it's released, every artist starts to kind of hate that song a little bit because you've heard it a million times. So going from that, oh, I've heard it a million times, it feels old, it feels kind of stale, to playing it for people for the first time and seeing their first reactions to it, and it kind of brings you back to like, oh crap, well, I've heard this a million times but no one else has. So it's just a really cool feeling.
Would you say that show that you played was that your like biggest show that you've played at?
For sure. I honestly didn't think it was going to be as big as it was, because it was at a club called Celine down in Orlando, which I've been to a bunch of times. And excuse me, they have some shows that are like maybe 200 people, 300 people, something like that. It's not a big club, but it's not small either. So I was thinking something like that, and I won a contest to play it, so it was the opening slot. And so I was thinking, oh, maybe get like, I have my friends there. I have like 50 people there. Maybe by the end of my set, I'm closer to 100. And by the time my set was over, you couldn't even get to the bar. It was packed. There was
Oh
like
my
five,
God.
6, 700 people. I'm not good with numbers, but I know it was around that amount. Um, so just going into that, thinking like, oh yeah, I'll play for a couple of my friends, hopefully get a couple new fans. It'd be cool. And just when I was done my set, coming down and having to wade through the crowd, and people were stopping me and being like, oh my God, set was great. And it truly is, it feels amazing. It's such a special, cool feeling. But yeah, that definitely was my largest show so far.
So you expected about like 50 to 100 people. How did it feel once you looked up and you're like, oh my God, there's not even room to go to the bar? Like, how did that feel being up there at that moment?
It's a bit nerve-wracking at first. Seeing people, they're coming in, you're seeing more and more people, and all of a sudden you start overthinking like, oh crap, is this transition good enough? Am I gonna do this double correctly? You start getting into your head a little bit. But just seeing it's a weird feeling, going from you getting kind of nervous when you're seeing a lot of people out there, and then when you see a ton of people out there and they're all kind of dancing and vibing, it's a huge confidence boost. Just makes you feel like you're doing something right, because all of a sudden everybody's there, everybody's jamming. Not everybody's sitting there on their phone. So it's definitely nerve-wracking. I mean, it's always kind of nerve-wracking to get on stage in front of that many people, but I don't know. It's definitely such a cool feeling.
What is your like dream set to play at? Like, where are you like, this is when I know I've made it? Like,
It's For me, it's like, bass, dubstep, drum bass kind of producer. It's got to be Lost Lands.
absolutely, that's the correct answer. Like,
That's the dream. Honestly, that's obviously the dream for me. Even one of my favorite festivals. I haven't yet to be to Lost Lands yet.
I was
So
just about to ask you. You need to go to Lost Lands. Everyone needs to like experience Lost Lands at least once.
yeah, I have tickets this year. So fingers
Yay!
crossed.
I'll see you there. I'll see you there.
Awesome, awesome. We'll meet up for something.
Absolutely.
But it Lost Lands is the obvious answer. But if I'm gonna not take the obvious answer, one of my favorite festivals that I've been to personally is EDC Orlando. Just the stage there, the base stage. It was my first like city fest, so it holds such a special place in my heart that I know if I played on any stage there, it'd be crazy.
Have you ever been to Forbidden Kingdom? Because it's right in Orlando too.
Yep, I went to not last year's, but the year before that, and the year before that, and then I've got tickets to go this year. So
I'll
I'm
see
making
you
a drive
there
back.
too.
Hey, awesome! Hell yeah!
But like how was it? Like did you like Forbidden Kingdom or like cuz everyone always says it's amazing but you're just dying under the sun.
Oh my God, yeah. Last time I went was 2 years ago, and there was half the day when the sun was out. We were just in the merchant village because it was the only shaded place with the fans, and it's really hot. I had a lot of fun. I don't know if they did it last year. I heard this year they're bringing like mist cannons to kind of cool people down. So hopefully it's not as bad. The
I'm
first
hoping
year
they have some shade.
yeah,
Everybody's been like, please
exactly.
add more shade. Like,
Add more shade, add some tents, add something. It was dreadful. I still had a great time, but man, I was drenched in sweat.
is there anything you want people to know about you personally? Like that's something that like you hold very true to yourself that also reflects in your music career?
I just when I play music, I just hope that people, they dance, they have fun. I've been to a lot of those sets where people are shoving their way to the front. I mean, everybody knows you're at a festival. There's always the people that shove past. Just say excuse me. It's just always a big thing. I mean, just say excuse me. If people say excuse me when they walk by and I stop them, I'll give them something. I usually bring little stuff with me at festivals. I got to give you something. Thank you so much. Just be nice to people.
What do you usually bring to festivals that you give out?
Typically stickers. Whether it's my personal stickers for my artist stuff, or I own a record label, Lost Space Records, little plug. So I'll bring stickers for that and hand it out. This year I'm bringing some more stickers and these little like squishy little things. I love. Someone gave me these at EDC Orlando, not last year, but the year before that. I was just sitting there vibing, and he just turned around. He's just like, "Oh my God, you've been great." Haven't said a word to the man. He's like, "You've been great. Here, take these." And it made my night. So now I'm just, hoping I can make someone else's night the same way.
When I was at Lost Lands, I would give out like the Pokemon trading cards, and like they came in a pack, so you had to open it. And this, I gave it to somebody. They were just like going in, and I was like, I gotta give you one. And he opened it, and right in front of my eyes, he's like, "Oh my God, I got a Mewtwo!" And I was like, Let me just.
You got the wrong pack. Hold on.
No, literally, like, I think it's always so cool. I love when people randomly come up to me, like I'm in my own world dancing, and they're like, "Here," and I'm like, "Yes, thank you." Like my main character energy goes through the roof. I swear.
Skyrockets. I love that. I love, especially if I'm at a stage for so long, you kind of like, even if you don't talk to the people around you, a lot of times there's those few people that have been there the entire time you've been there. And I love, if I'm gonna go to another set or I'm gonna go up further, just giving them stuff. Me like, "You've been great, you've been awesome." Like, you weren't shoving people, like, kind of, positive reinforcement, kind of Pavlov them into being nice.
Pavlov's dog to Plur.
Exactly, exactly.
Do you think Plur is dead?
I don't think so. I think, there's a lot of negative people and negative opinions on the EDM scene now. And I don't know, I've been in it since 2018. So like 5 years. I don't know if that's a long time, not long time, but from my experience, there's some sets that the crowd can get a bit more rude with. When I went to see DJ Diesel in not last year's, but the year before that's EDC Orlando, it was the crowd change from the set before to him was intense. There was a lot of people coming in to see him because it's Shaq. A lot of people want to see it.
Absolutely.
And people are shoving and all that. And sometimes it does feel like, oh my God, what happened? People are being rude all of a sudden, like, why is all this? And then they will leave after the set. And obviously it's not Shaq's fault. It's not like he's sitting there telling people,
Yeah,
"Be
for
mean,
sure.
shove someone during my set." It's just I feel like some artists kind of bring out different crowds for some reason. But there are, even with that, there are so many people in the crowd that are nice, and they'll say, "Excuse me," they'll tap you on the shoulder to go by, and they hand you things. So I think a lot of people just focus so much on the negative side of it that it kind of overshadows how many nice people there are. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten too drunk or messed up at a festival, and I'm like just sitting on the floor, just riding it out. And so many people come up and they just tap you on the shoulder and like, "Hey, you doing okay? Do you want some water? Do you want some fan or whatever?" So I think if you're looking for the negative in it, you're gonna find the negative in it. But I think there's enough people, being positive and showing, that Plur side, that if you're looking for that, you'll find it.
So, do you have any like last thing you want to say?
Just, if I can plug my record label a little bit. So I own a small record label called Lost Space Records. You can find us at Lost Space Music on pretty much anything: Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, whatever. We typically release tracks, dubstep, some house, drum and bass, that kind of stuff, every like 2 weeks, and we have a guest mix every month. In fact, we have one coming out as we're recording this tomorrow, Wednesday the 12th. So if you guys want to check that out, we've got some cool stuff out there. I've got a couple tracks out already on there, and we've got some cool stuff coming up. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.